It is the morning sports desk on a Thursday, the 2nd of May. I'm CJ Baumgartner. Zeke joining us on the morning sports desk. No Corey again today. He's off trying to go get that bird. Zeke, what are your odds if you were a betting man that Corey's going to get a turkey during his time off here?
I bet that Corey lied about getting a turkey permit and he's golfing today, is what I think.
Probably. Yesterday, especially with how nice it was.
Right? Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, he definitely was.
He's at Prairie Ridge.
He did correspond with me this morning and said he did not see anything yesterday. So I'm not saying that he did that, but
there's no turkeys on golf courses. I mean, it's all making sense.
If he sees one on the golf course, though, he's just got to get his driver ready, put a brick on the accelerator, and just take a big swing.
He couldn't hit it anyways. He can't hit a green the size of my house. He's not gonna be able to hit a turkey out there.
Oh, shots fired.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of things going on across central Minnesota, we do have some high school baseball that's on the broadcast schedule tonight, or this afternoon, I should say, on 101.7 FM, AM 920 KWAD. You're streaming online at WDenaRadio.com/KWAD. It is high school baseball. Parker's Prairie at Wadena Deer Creek, a Park Region Conference clash. Now, Parker's Prairie beat Wadena Deer Creek 5-3 in their earlier matchup in Parker's Prairie. We'll see how this rematch goes. Although, Zeke, weather pending, I think, is always the thing that you have to say with spring sports, and especially this year, because there's just not Mother Nature hasn't been kind. We thought like in February, we're like, wow, it's going to be a great spring sports season. And no, apparently not. Like, we're getting so much rain. We do need the moisture, but also at the same time, it feels like at least the athletic director's heads are still spinning. So if you see your local activities director, give him a hug.
Yeah, or your local farmer, because they're trying to get plants, get crops in the ground, and it's just so muddy and garbagey out there. Like,
how am I supposed to pick rock in these conditions?
Yeah, exactly. Get a couple of weeks in, and then the rain can start to get the drought conditions figured out.
Right, exactly. It's been tough. So we'll see if that game's on. I talked to Kyle, who of course works for us and the Wadena Deer Creek schools, and he said as of right now the game is planned, but because they did cancel the Wadena Deer Creek track and field meet today, which I know is always a big one. So it's a shame that one had to get scrapped for the year. But also it means that the status, because both those the game today is expected to take place at Wadena. So we'll see. I think there's going to be a maybe closer to lunchtime call. If you're listening to this in the afternoon, you'll probably already know. So there you go. We'll see. As of always with anything spring sports wise, it's weather pending. So again, if the game does take place, it should be a good one between the Wolverines and the Panthers, two of the more well-coached teams in the Park Region Conference year in and year out between Coach Denny and Coach Dykoff. But we'll just have to see how that plays out. If it does happen, it's a 4:15 pregame, 4:30 first pitch on 101.7 FM and AM 920 KWAD, streaming online at WDenaRadio.com/KWAD. All right, Zeke, we pulled you in for our conversation. One, because Corey's gone and people can't stand to hear me talk for 15 minutes straight. Also, because, we just like having you on as a guest, first and foremost. But, the important thing that we need to talk about here is your and mine Minnesota Twins. We're gonna win, we're gonna score, we're gonna win, we're running out of fingers and toes here.
Right. We'll have to use toes next. 10 in a row for the Minnesota Twins. How about that?
10 in a row. Where were you in late June of 2008? Where were you?
I had been married for 1 month and living in the cities with no jobs and going to Twins games for $8 a pop because you could get upper deckers at the Metrodome for $8 that season.
Yeah, and then another $8 on the Dome Dog, $20.
Yeah, man.
The package with the chips, and you were set.
I was set. Yeah, I looked it up too. June 17th through June 27th, 2008, the last time the Twins won 10 games in a row. Have you looked at the lineup of that last game that they won?
No, but it's got to be Denard Span in center, Maurer at catcher, Morneau at first, Casilla at, want to say second base, Adam Everett
Yeah.
shortstop, third base is probably your friend and mine, Brian Busher, and right field is Kadire, left field Kubel. There's my guess.
You're close. It was Gomez in center.
Oh, how could I forget
Casilla?
about
Yep. Casilla, Maurer, Morneau, Kadire, Kubel's the DH. Your guy, Delman Young, the left fielder. Brian Busher was 1 for 4, and then Brendan Harris, the shortstop. Nick Blackburn was the starter on that 10th game in a row in Milwaukee. They won 7-6.
Oh man, those
are some names.
The 2008 Twins are an enigma because they probably should have been a playoff team more than the 2009 Twins, but we all remember the 2009 Twins so fondly, and they weren't good. They just won a very bad division. And the Twins in 2008, of course, had the 10-game winning streak, but that was the year they lost Johan, and the fan base was so deflated, and they come out and they just won games. And again, weaker AL Central, but still, they came out and they had that great series at the Metrodome against the White Sox in September, and then they just faltered enough down the stretch for the White Sox to send it to an elimination game where Jim Thome's home run still haunts me to this day. But, you know, overall, man, 2008, the Twins were still playing in the Metrodome. Guardy ball was still like the pitch to contact and bunting and play second, bat second, philosophy. Joe Mauer's got to play every single day, but when he doesn't, Mike Redmond should just hit in the 3-hole because Morneau obviously won't know how to hit in the 3-hole. If you don't, he's got to hit cleanup. It's going to mess him up, kind of a vibe. But man, 10 games in a row. They were dead in the water before this winning streak in 2024, Zeke.
Yeah, I mean, they've won 10 games in a row. They're 17 and 13, 17 and 14 now, and they're still in 4th place in the division, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's how big a hole they had buried themselves in, and give credit to the AL Central for being surprisingly good this year. The only division in baseball with 4 teams above 500, and you can credit the 6-win White Sox for that all you want, because the Guardians and the Royals and the Tigers and the Twins, they've all been beaten up on the White Sox to start the year. But if to put it in comparison, if the Twins were in the AL West, they'd be in first place right now, right? At 17 and 17 and 13 or whatever they are.
Just like we all
exactly, yeah. Because the Mariners, they have 17 wins, and then below that it's the A's and the Angels and the Astros. Surprisingly, 10 and 20. You hate to see that happen to that franchise. 10 games below 500 and
deserve that
in May. Yeah, I mean that's not karma coming after them. But yeah, it's been happening with a lot of, guys that we weren't expecting to have key impacts in May, unless the worst of the worst happened. And that was Royce Lewis, Carlos Correa, and Byron Buxton missing time to injury, which it's May 2nd, and all 3 have missed time, or likely will miss time, with the Buxton injury yesterday, which we'll talk about. Correa is back. Lewis is still on the shelf. And so we've been getting guys like Jose Miranda, who we talked about on the show last time I was on a couple weeks ago, guys that we were expecting to maybe have the ability to make that impact. And Miranda, a couple doubles, a couple big hits for the Twins during this winning streak. And it's been fun to watch, because it's guys that you weren't really relying on having that impact right away. And that first month of the season, and during this 10-game winning streak, they've needed these guys to step up.
Right. And that's the thing where, obviously they beat up on the White Sox, Angels, White Sox. Like, that is true. But you don't win 10 games in a row. That's a little more if you are playing well combined with a bad schedule. But even, there's the Bob Costas monologue in Moneyball where he's talking about the A's 20-game winning streak. And he's like, you have to be good, but there is like an element of randomness to it a little bit. And it's a little bit of, you mentioned karma. It's a little bit of the Twins had some bad injury luck early in the seasons, a couple fluky losses, a couple games where it's just kind of whatever. And it's a little bit of that evening out, because it's a long season. If you're a good team or a bad team, you'll find out pretty quickly. And it's always, even when the Twins were bad in 13 and 14, those bad seasons, they still, like, in the first month of the season, you're like, whoa, they're hovering around 500. Maybe they'll like hit above their weight. And then by the end of the year, they have 88 losses and you're like, oh wait, never mind. But yeah, so baseball is a way of evening things out. But I think the most encouraging thing out of all of this is, like you talked about, it's 1 through 9. That's been hitting well. It isn't like Byron Buxton's been on a heater and putting the team on his back. It's been Max Kepler stepping up since coming off the injury list. Buxton's had a couple big hits. And then you also look at Kyle Farmer, a guy whose batting averages went up like 50 points in the last 7 days, which has been big for him. Jose Miranda coming on, Willie Castro catching fire all of a sudden, and Carlos Correa coming back, I think is huge as well. He comes back, Martin gets sent down in his place, and Correa, that first game was a little clunky, but that second game, he made his presence immediately felt with a game tying RBI single, scored one of the go ahead runs, or Correa got the rally going, I think, in the 8th inning, with going the opposite way, taking what the defense is giving him. And that's how you know a hitter is in a good spot, when he can do that. But it's not just with the bat. He's been kind of coming along that way. You get reminded game 1 of how important Carlos Correa is as a shortstop when he had that relay throw in game 2 of that series against the White Sox.
We got the guy on the foot and they reviewed it. Oh, such a good throw.
Such a great, and it's a throw only Carlos Correa makes. Willie Castro doesn't even attempt that.
Yeah.
And that's no discredit to Willie Castro. Carlos Correa is a Platinum Glove winner for a reason. He's going to go down as the Twins' best shortstop ever, fielding wise, because just the things he does, we've never seen before.
And you can talk about the offense too, with the pitching staff and the bullpen, specifically getting Johan Duran back for this White Sox series. Pablo Lopez has been kind of shaky, but Joe Ryan's had some good starts. Bailey Over's had some good starts. You got Chris Paddock and Simeon Woods Richardson taking that 5th spot in the rotation. He's been hit or miss, but he's still holding his own. He's the 5th guy in the rotation, and that's kind of what you want is that just giving your team an opportunity to stay in the game. And you look at Brock Stewart and Griffin Jackson, these guys have had an incredible run out of the bullpen here too. It's not just the offense and those guys stepping up, because one of the big questions was, what's this Twins rotation going to look like? And it's held its own. I mean, 17 and 13 here. It's not where I thought this team would be on May 2nd, but it's better than where they were sitting 10 days ago.
Right. And, I think if we would have polled each other, like when we did that preview show for the Twins season, we'd say, all right, on May 2nd, the Twins are 17 and 13. I think we'd all go, okay, yeah, that's fine. Like, I'll take that. You're in contention. You didn't sink yourself. But I think it's the road that got us here is why everybody's like, oh my gosh, what the heck has happened? Like, it just feels like it's been so different. But, I think, Zeke, really, we could talk about the pitching staff. We could talk about the bullpen, which has been, for the most part, rock solid. We could talk about the lineup coming into its own, and we could talk about all that. But I think we need to give credit to the real reason why this is all happening.
Packaged, sausage that Jeffers has been carrying around in his bag and throwing at people when we score runs and hit homers. So I'm all for it. I'm slightly concerned as I'm not even an adult, but slightly concerned as more of an adult than maybe some of the people in the other room, that the package is going to open up and the thing hasn't been refrigerated in many days. And there's no doubt that when that thing opens up, whoever's touching it is in deep trouble.
That is Twins manager Rocco Baldelli talking about the Twins' new home run sausage. And I see that you're consuming one right now.
Yeah, mine. It's not a Cloverdale tangy sausage. It's a chef's cut buffalo chicken sausage, but it's all I had upstairs.
It's all, you know what? It works. Well, because if you would watch Twins games, you'd see Carlos Santana go back to the dugout after hitting a home run, and then all of a sudden just something got thrown at him, and he'd catch it, and he'd and throw it back. And it turns out that that's the Twins' new home run sausage. So for those who don't know the story, Kyle Farmer was gifted by Cloverdale, I think out of Mandan, was given some meat. A meat package. It's every player's dream. It's every man's dream. Play professional baseball, get meat sent to you for free. And he obviously had too much. He didn't know what to do with all of it. So he basically put a free to a good home sign on some of it. And Ryan Jeffers, as Baldelli mentioned, took it and essentially formed a new religion. That's what's happened.
And Twins fans are jumping on board. I mean, we've had gimmicky stuff like this.
The rally squirrel, remember in 2019?
Yeah, we had the bathrobe. There was the home run fishing jacket last year.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one. I got sausage here all over the place. It was. I like it because it's weird, and it doesn't feel forced. It just happened. Where last year the fishing vest kind of felt forced, and after a while it's like, okay, there's that fishing vest thing again.
Right.
But with this, it just happened. It's authentically baseball weird. It kind of in the same realm as Wade Boggs eating chicken before every meal or every game. Had fried chicken.
Right.
Just
that
weird superstition
on his bats or something.
Yeah. It's just weird stuff, and that's what makes baseball so great.
It's what makes it fun, like you talked about, and it's natural. It is a natural thing that happened. I saw somebody put this out on social media. It's like this is just a microcosm of what happens when you put a bunch of 20 to 30 something year old guys in a room and have them spend way too much time together. They're going to just take a piece of a whole log of summer sausage. But like Rocco's mentioned, has not been taken out of its packaging. It's just sitting there. I don't know how they get this thing on airplanes, but they get it on there. And anytime somebody gets a big hit, they throw it at each other. If you're in the dugout and you're in an offer, you know what? Go tap that sausage. Go up there, go do it. And if you just got a big hit, tap the sausage. I mean, it's foolproof. And I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. You know what I mean? Like I want to say this is just dumb, but also like they've won 10 in a row. So clearly something's going. I think that they said that once they lose and then they win again, that they'll get a new sausage. So like once the streak is up, they will eventually discard the sausage, but we might have to petrify that thing before that happens.
I've seen some close-up photos. It looks like there's like some condensation inside the package now where I know it's a summer sausage. You don't have to refrigerate it. It's got all that preservatives in it, but that thing, especially the tangy sausage, that thing's going to be ripe when someone cuts into that sucker.
Yeah, that's going to be a biohazard. I think I think it was a Jeffers or somebody. There's like one person who wrote on there like, I don't know if we need to start like another global pandemic with this thing, but like, gotta be careful how we handle that. And it does have an effect. I've seen people on social media post pictures of high school teams having summer sausages in their dugouts. Now, in memory of the Twins. Amateur baseball across central Minnesota is starting back up in full force this weekend. How many summer sausages will be in those dugouts?
Right.
It'll be big to be seen. Like how Midway always has the big, I believe it's Finnish flag in their dugout. It's going to be a sausage now. I'm sorry. I don't write the rules.
Hang it from the roof or something.
But now they get through this White Sox portion of their schedule. And now they move on to play the Boston Red Sox, a team has a similar record to the Twins. They're a team that people expected to be pretty bad coming into this year. But like the Red Sox, they're either in 5th place or they're in 1st place. They never finish middle of the pack in that AL East. They're a team that Alex Cora always gets them prepared, always gets them ready to play. That's going to be a tough task over the weekend. So that'll be interesting to see how they do it. It'll be also interesting to see if Byron Buxton is back. Now, he, I think, went on 3 straight pitches and Larnach fouled off 2 of them. And on the 3rd one, they threw down, he was out by a mile, but it's only because he didn't slide, because he definitely tweaked something while he was running. Zeke, what have you heard? Do we have any updates?
All I've seen from the Twins is they're calling it a left knee soreness is what it is. And he wasn't running 100% on that 3rd steal attempt yesterday. The 2nd inning is when it happened in that White Sox game. And you could tell something was up, and then he slowly made his way to the dugout, maybe too slow, because the home plate umpire was yelling at him to get off the field. And it's like, that's not the time to do that. You're hurt. You're trying to not make it worse than it already is. And so it was just,
umpires have been having a bang up season so far.
A goofy situation. Yeah, MLB umpires are one of the most loved people on the planet right now. It's just with bad calls and things like that, where umps yelling at Buxton to get off the field when he's hurt. He's taking his time. So yeah, he's getting some heat for that. But you figured, Buxton's played in 28 of the 30 games so far, and you knew eventually something like this was going to happen. I'm glad it wasn't, a concussion diving in the outfield or hitting a wall or something like that. Just that recklessly amazing defense that he plays out in center field, where he doesn't care if he hurts himself. And these last couple of seasons, he's had to care a little bit. Didn't play any center field last year, and now a knee tweak. We're just hoping what it is. Running the base pass. Twins are off today, so we probably won't get any information today. They'll take it slow, and we'll find out tomorrow whether or not he'll miss time, and if he is going to miss time, how long he'll be out for.
Right, exactly. That's always the thing. And you never really know, because Buxton, according to like beat reporters and people who are with the team every day, it's like you'll ask Buxton, and like Buxton will have both of his knees, his legs will have fallen off from the knee down. And, and he'll go, don't worry, I'm still planning on playing tomorrow. Like, he's a guy that will play through stuff to his own detriment sometimes. Like, you talked about that recklessly amazing way he plays baseball. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. If it's just like I don't know, man, tweak something, the Twins probably we're going to pull him no matter what, out of an abundance of caution. So it doesn't really mean too much, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Cause obviously felt like you were one step closer to getting at full strength. You don't have Royce Lewis yet. You're probably not going to get him until closer to 4th of July, but it felt like you dug yourself out of the hole. You could at least play competent baseball. Then when you get Lewis back, you can take yourselves up another ring in that kind of power rankings. You got Duran back, and that's just a blow to this team, but they've been playing well all around. So that's a good sign. Zeke, I want to end our time today talking about one more thing, and that is Bally. Everybody's favorite, Bally Sports.
Yeah.
Not any of the people who work for Bally Sports North. They are like Provis and the broadcasters and the truck people. Like everybody working for Bally isn't locally isn't really to blame. It's more the national media conglomerate of Sinclair Broadcasting. But they just got taken off of Spectrum charter, whatever that is around for some. I've never had it, so I guess I don't know how many people have it around in our listening area. But for a lot of people in the Twin Cities now, they have gotten added into the bandwagon of I can't watch Minnesota Twins baseball in the middle of a 10-game winning streak. And that's really tough. And just once again, Corey said it on this program all the time, burn it to the ground. What are your thoughts on the Twins TV situation? Because obviously it runs deeper than just them coming off of Xfinity.
Yeah. And this is kind of I don't know, it's a sore subject for media guys, but on the radio side, I mean, I'm thrilled because it means listenership's going to be up on the Twins radio.
It's free on
affiliates,
KWA.
I mean, it was baseball is the game that was meant to be watched on the radio is the age old saying. And if this is going to happen to any sport, I'm glad it's the Twins because I mean, I would much rather watch the Vikings than listen to a Vikings game. I'd much rather watch the Wolves than listen to the Wolves. I'd much rather watch the Wild than listen to the Wild. But baseball is such a mental game you can play in your head that I think listenership across, Twins territory, there's like 100 Twins affiliates across North, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, even into Western Wisconsin there. I do watch the Twins every once in a while. My brother and I share a DirecTV account. It has up to like 4 people, so you can stream all the stuff and whatever. So I am one of the rich people that has DirecTV with my pinky out watching Twins games and sipping my bourbon or whatever. And so until it really affects the DirecTV streaming of it, it really hasn't affected to me because I'll watch for every 10 Twins games I consume, probably one is on TV and the other 9 are listening to Chris Atterbury on the radio. Just if I'm working in my garage, if I'm driving somewhere, is how it is. Because I would much rather listen to a baseball game than commit to watching one, even with the Twins in a 10-game winning streak.
Right. And I will say, and this, we talked about broadcasting when we met at the beginning of the season, but I've really liked both booths, I should say. Trevor Plouffe and LaTroy Hawkins with Provis have been excellent. Great. They both are good at asking each other questions. And like, I'm coming at it from a reliever's perspective. Plouffe's like, I'm coming at it from a hitter's perspective. And both of them have been really, really good with Provis. Like Provis hasn't even had to prod at them. They're like asking each other the questions. It's been great.
Great
and then
chemistry between those 3. Yeah.
It's awesome. And you flip it over to the radio side of things. Like you talked about, Atterbury's great, and Gladden's great too. But then when Gladden's off, the Twins have had Paul Molitor come in the booth, who's been excellent. And they've also had Glenn Perkins in the booth, who is excellent. Like everybody the Twins have for analysts, the Twins have 2 great play-by-play guys with Atterbury and Provis, and they did with Bramer. And whenever they threw in analysts, it feels like in the last 5 years, they've all just been excellent. They've all come in, know what their job is. They're wanting to like teach fans about the game of baseball. And, this isn't a Burt criticism, but when you have a traditional older broadcaster, some other teams broadcaster fall victim to this, where you have an older guy who just wants to talk about how baseball is not the same. And it's I get that. And you can be frustrated about that. And you can voice that concern every once in a while, but not everyone wants to get the old man yells at cloud take during the game. And I think Trevor Plouffe and LaTroy Hawkins do a really great job of breaking down the game and talking about it. Morneau does it really well. Perkins does it. Gladden does. Like you learn more about baseball consuming the broadcast. And that's the point, I think, as well as knowing because you can have anybody tell you the score and who did what. But in the dead time of baseball, they're teaching you more about the game and how Major League Baseball operates. And that part I really enjoy.
Yeah, I like the mix of kind of the old school and newer school broadcasters that the Twins have paired with Provis and Atterbury. You have Dan Gladden, who has the resume. He's in the Twins Hall of Fame as a broadcaster, 2 World Series championships, and he parts in both of those. You've got Paul Molitor, who will jump on, Hall of Famer. He dominated the 80s and 90s. So you've got those old takes, and you have guys that are fairly newly removed from the game, and Trevor Plouffe and Justin Morneau and Glenn Perkins. I mean, Hawkins is a little bit further removed, but he's well traveled. I think 12, 13,
years,
14 teams. Yeah, he played forever. You know, on those mid '90s teams, was a starter, moved to the bullpen, had some success there, and then just bounced around the league after that. So
I think he's pitched all the way till like 2015. Like,
yeah, it's ridiculous how long LaTroy Hawkins. He's like my ultimate grid guy is LaTroy Hawkins, because
immaculate grid. Yes.
Immaculate grid. Yeah, you can plug him in pretty much everywhere. Right. The cool thing is just the chemistry. Like you can throw anybody in the booth with Corey Provis, and he'll have a fantastic conversation. You can throw anybody in with Atterbury, and that's kind of the way that the Twins have kind of have these guys come up through the ranks. I mean, Provis. I mean, he was calling games in Milwaukee with
Uecker, yeah,
with Bob Uecker forever, and so he comes from that Bob Uecker tree of broadcasting, and then Atterbury comes from Gordon and from Provis, and work with Bremer and all these guys, and just the groundwork of foundation the Twins have laid with their broadcasting. We've talked about this a couple times, where we as Twins fans just so spoiled with the broadcasters we've had with Carneal and Gordon and Bremer, and just that's kind of been the core of our listenership and our childhood and our fandom, as well as we've had these amazing voices to describe the game to us, to explain what's going on, and the tradition continues. And for TV fans to be robbed of that with Provis, who has been with the team for a decade plus now, jumping over the TV side and having these guys that we watched have success with the Twins, is just it's too bad.
Yeah, it's too bad. And that's the thing, is like Provis, not intentionally, but he came out there when he first got the job saying there's going to be no blackouts. Twins baseball is going to be accessible to everyone, and they're going to get to do this. And it made Provis like have such massive egg on his face, and the Twins had to go crawling back to Bally. And I will say, I think the Twins were planning that. And then Amazon came in and bailed out Bally at the last second and gave him just enough money to keep going. And when you look at the situation, there's a bunch of other teams who have 1 year left on their Bally contracts. And the Twins they could market themselves with 8 other teams for a lot more money than just themselves. So I get the 1 year business decision. I understand all of it. But I think from a PR perspective, the Twins have just been horrible at PR, I think forever. Like from the contraction days to now to whatever, their public relations has just been really, really bad at like getting a message across, because they got Correa, they did all this, they got Pablo Lopez, they extended Pablo Lopez, they won their division, they made the playoffs, they won a playoff series, Target Field was popping, there was so much excitement for this fan base, and they put it right out there, and I'm glad that they put it out there right away. They're like, we're cutting payroll. And then the assumption was like, okay, well, they'll cut payroll this year because, like they don't have a TV deal. And maybe if the lower payroll means more people can watch, at least that's okay. If it's like accessible to everyone, that's fine. And then they're like, okay, no, actually we're going back to Bally on a 1 year deal. We're also not disclosing how much money we're making, because we don't want everyone to be mad at us that we're making like 80% of what we were making year on year, and we're still cutting payroll. And they'll say, well, we're always going to do it this way, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Cutting payroll is never a winning argument with a fan base. And again, the way that they went about it, and then Jim Polat, or which one's the younger? Joe Polat, the younger one, went out and did that interview with DeRusha of CCO Radio in Fort Myers, and basically said, we want to be the Rays. And it's like, the Rays win in spite of their payroll, not because just bad answers, and basically committed to not saying. And look, whatever. Would the Twins have benefited from having Blake Snell? He hasn't necessarily pitched very well this year.
He's been awful. Yeah.
So sometimes, it's not to say that the Twins needed some of these free agents, but it's just the morale of the fan base just got decimated before the season began. They had the rough start, and the Twins have won 10 games in a row, and I'm excited. But man, doesn't it feel like nobody's really talking about them either?
Because everyone's talking about the Wolves, baby.
Wolves, baby.
Yeah.
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 That's also true. But if they had this win, when the Twins won 10 games in a row in 2008, it was June and nothing was going on. Yeah. So obviously everybody was excited about Twins baseball, but yeah, it just feels like it's been really quiet, despite the fact that they've won 10 games in a row. One more stat, and then I think we'll wrap it up here, Zeke, is the Twins won, 12 games in a row is their all-time most winning streak?
I believe so, yeah.
And what year was that, by the way?
Was that would have been 91, right?
That was 91. Yeah. 90.
Yeah.
The Twins in this year started out 6-10 on their first 16 games. What do you think the record was of the 1991 Twins after their first 16 games?
I know what it was. I like where you're going with this.
What is it?
Was it 6-10?
We're gonna win. We're gonna score. We're gonna win. What's the game?
I'm not saying if they win 2 more games that they're going to win the World Series, but I'm a stats guy, and I'm going where the stats tell me.
Was there a rally sausage in 91? I haven't seen anything about a 91 rally sausage. That may be the only thing that's different between these two clubs.
No, but I don't think we should ask Dan Gladden that question.
No.
This has been the Morning Sports Desk for Thursday, May 2nd.